So welcome to this evening for the second last inspirational webinar, and also one more day until Module 4. Now, Module 4 is part of the closing of the awakening process. And so there's a lot of stuff about forgiveness, and to forgive means to stop judging and stop making wrong right and right wrong, that sort of thing. And so in this time, a lot of things will happen in family or circumstances where old stories can surface, pain stories, relationships, or people get really sick or are dying or something else. And then we've got June on top of that, which is time to wind down. So this time of year, Southern Hemisphere, can also bring a lot of the same things, the deaths and things like that as well. So if one of you would like to unmute yourself just to check in on, how things are since last week's webinar and in preparation for Module 4, that would be awesome.
Chantel?
Chantel?
I forgot I wasn't muted.
That's okay.
Just hold on a moment, please.
All right. Let's see with somebody else. That'd be awesome.
It's Melissa. I've had a good week. I've had old stories come up, and just watching myself go into the emotion of it, and then like how all the old emotion comes up and makes it more intense.
Yeah.
And yeah, trying not to plug back into the old thinking around that story.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Because by this stage, well done, Melissa, that by this stage, June can bring up old stories so that we can have them to a conscious mind before we go into July, the chrysalis. So definitely. And then Module 4 is like, well, yeah. And then are we going to pack that story and put other things on top? So absolutely brilliant, Melissa. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Somebody else?
I'm ready to start, Jane. Sam.
Okay, darling.
Yeah, lots of stories are coming up, and I've noticed that I want to slip back into the old patterns, especially with the eating. Lots of wanting to do that emotional eating.
Yes.
And trying to, figure out what to do to stop it. And sometimes I've been successful, like by distracting myself and making myself busy, and then other times I haven't, and that's when I wanted to just eat myself silly.
Okay, Sammy, can we use that as an example?
Of course.
Yep. And I'm not going to share, some of you are doing the Bite Me program, I'm not going to share that aspect, but I'm going to take it back to Module 1, where when we start Module 1, or I started my awakening, we're unaware of emotions, and that really part of life is energy in motion. And what's the energy? And we're working on our natural being is love, but it should be fear. Our natural being is love, but we go to fear, not should be fear. And so we learn behaviors, patterns, rituals, routines, things to suppress those things called emotions. And we're very frightened of the emotions. In Module 2, Module 3, we talk about the awakened and unawakened emotions, which is in your books. And we understand by Module 3, there's no bad emotions. It's not, that's why I call them negative positive. It's awakened and unawakened. So expectation in an unawakened state leads to disappointment. But in the awakened state, I have huge high expectations of myself, and I know everything will always work out. So by the time we come back to Module 4, like Sam was talking about, we can go back to a little bit of the awareness of the patterns of, emotional eating, stomach, rejection, where am I not fulfilled? Stomach. Where am I feeling disempowered? Solar plexus, because then we link in stomach to second chakra. It's a second Module 2, solar plexus. So you're just being aware of it. It's like, wait. What if in this circumstance I was just aware of it and went, I can see now why I did what I did. I'm so aware of the emotional eating, and that if we are hungry by this stage, it's like, okay, I'm aware of it. Check in on the feeling. Okay, is it really hunger? No. Is it something sweet? Yes. So we can go to pancreas. What is it? Oh, it feels like chocolate. Okay, so we know we can get peridot crystal because that's magnesium. If it's something sweet, you've got the food craving list, you can then have something like chromium or chromium type foods. But if it's the pancreas and you're thinking unconscious stories, there's change, there's adapting, there's boredom, all the things from module 1. Okay, where am I bored? Hang on, am I bored just sitting down to the television by myself at night time and I've got nothing else to do? This is one thing that people say all the time about emotional eating, is when they're on their own, even if their partner's there, their children are there, they can still feel like they're on their own, and they go, oh, I've got the munchies. I want to fill up. I want to feel fulfilled. So always go back to module 1 and the emotion, but be aware of it and go, oh yeah, actually, it's not actually hunger. So stop judging it as bad or wrong or good or whatever. It's just being aware. So thank you, Sam, for that one. Somebody else want to share?
Katrina here, Jane.
Yes, Katrina.
I am on the same page as both Melissa and Sam. Old stories coming up, old patterns wanting to come in, and you know, I was thinking the day I've just been craving sugar so much, and it's and times in my life I don't even really need sugar. And I just don't know, it just feels really intense at the moment. So I'm just questioning that. The other thing that I loved, the card that said, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yes.
That has really been resonating with me a lot this week.
Yes.
And or whenever it came out. And it's interesting because I do tend to plan, but then it goes right back to one of the first assignments I did with you. It's that consistency, staying on top of it, being big. So there's a whole heap of things going on. It's stories, old patterns, sugar, the pain, failing to plan. That's really, really right at the front of my brain, and consistency. Great. So yeah, they're all the things going on. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Someone else?
I'll go.
Is that Nat?
Yes, it is.
Thanks. Thank you, darling.
I had a really hard weekend.
Just recently?
Yeah, over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was a lot of guilt. A lot of guilt things coming up. Just attached to like old emotions, then basically like feeling guilty and feeling like a fraud and a failure.
Yeah.
That just kept on pushing up, and it took a couple of days, but in the end, like over all of it, I was like able to, kick myself out of it. Not kick myself out of it, but go, no, this is not what it is. Yeah. This, like, if something didn't work out the way it was, well, no, that's just the lesson. So now I'm going to try it this way. Oh no, it's, I'm just learning this. So now I know that I now have to implement some other bits and pieces into things.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was just kind of, there was a lot of guilt.
Great.
Yeah, and then it's quite funny that I was wondering why I was drawn to put the Millennium Star directly in the middle of my grid. And then when I saw your video, which I saw a couple of days later, that you mentioned that it was basically representing forgiveness. And I'm like, yeah, forgiveness of myself.
Yes.
And a few other things in there. And forgiveness was since Monday something that has also come up a lot. But just in the body, I'm finding just so tired, like the others, really craving sugars.
Yep.
So tired. Lymphatics definitely playing up. A little bit of swelling. Sleeping, but then waking up as if I haven't slept.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
A lot of.
Beautiful, beautiful. And guilt, lymphatic, judgment, that's very much surfacing in this particular module. So thank you so much. And the sugars, I mean, sugar is like, I think Louise Hayes says it's sweetening like life or sweet life or something like that. I can't remember. It was years ago since I read it, but and it's like the subconscious mind and the pancreas goes, don't fully kill me. Don't put these things around for you to protect you. I'm there for you. Don't leave me. Feed me, give me sugar. And then you're going, fucking just give me sugar type thing. But it's like, wait, that's just going to enhance the story. So that's where, if you can just go, I'm going to have a glass of water. I'm going to have, I used to teach this, but I don't teach anymore, that, pop a clear quartz crystal in your mouth. Well, I had a parent who gave a child, a 2-year-old, a crystal in their mouth and they swallowed it. So I don't teach that anymore. But if you've got a crystal just near you, or just put it to your lips, especially clear quartz, just to be any crystal that needs to be to move on that sugar craving. So awesome. And what I'll do is, just for all of you, I'll put a link in the group for the Millennium Star, because you'll understand what it is and why I use it, especially for Module 4. So thank you so much, Nat. Somebody else like to share? Or is there something else, Nat?
No, that's everything.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share? Bonnie, what about you, darling?
Hi. Yeah, it's been a really great week for me since the last webinar. What is the link here? Yeah, I've found like I'm not on the food side, like I'm not having any cravings for anything since I've changed my eating regime around and removed the wheat and the dairy.
Yep.
And I'm just feeling really great with everything.
Beautiful.
I'm kind of sort of feeling like, why is everything shutting down now and going into winter when I feel really alive?
Interesting. Very good. Very good. Is that a pattern in the past?
Yes.
Awesome.
I seem to come alive in winter.
Very good.
I seem to want to do a lot of things.
Awesome.
And maybe that's because my birthday's in July. I don't know.
And just any deaths around you, because around Module 4, ladies, it can feel like death, as well as June is a shutting down, winding down as well. But just like a death of something's going. And that's also the craving of sugar. Is, as I said, the pancreas or subconscious mind. It's like, there is a death of something, whatever the thing is. And usually it's ego. So what's the ego? It's remember the power, the image I've got here. What are we? Egos. What do we want? Problems. Why? To be victims. And are you enjoying it? Yeah. So that an ego means separation. it doesn't mean he's got a big ego or whatever else. It's like, that time that I used to just get involved with the drama on the drama bars, that's dying. Because the more that you do this or repeat it or whatever, it's like it happens less and less and less and less, or quicker and faster as well. So thank you so much, Bonnie. What about Mandy?
Hello.
Hello. How's your week
How are
been,
you?
darling? I'm good, darling. Anything come up for you, forgiveness, ending, death, guilt, lymphatic, any of those sort of things?
Yes. I haven't felt very well for the past week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's different.
say that again, sweetie.
It's just different.
It's just different. What bit's different?
Oh, because I've done the mods before. I don't normally have like physical stuff.
Right.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you've been unwell, do you mind if I ask some questions, and you can say, Jean, I'll pass on it if you want to. In the unwell, is it like vomiting or headaches or dizzy or weepy or?
I've had headaches, and I've had a couple of spells where I think I'm going to be sick.
Yep.
I haven't actually been sick, but I think I'm going to be.
Yep.
And just general in the body, I just don't feel very well.
Yep. And that's not a thing that you normally have, Mandy?
No, definitely not.
No. And the reason I'm saying that is for those that haven't done the courses a couple of times. You can hear Mandy's done it a few times, but she's never had this before, but the body's taking a shift a different way. Is it stories leaving? Absolutely. Could it be like all of us? What are we? Egos. What do we want? Problems. I love this meme. I think it's just the best. I wish I could claim it as mine, but it's not. As I said, it was on Facebook. So thank you so much, Mandy. Thank you. And just so that you all know, for me, I've had lymphatic stuff come up and reviewed the guilt side of things. And the guilt that came up for me was guilty of myself, not guilty for what I've done, but guilty that something that happened in the past that I didn't treat myself very well. So I felt guilty for that. So, but it comes quickly, fast, quick, done. And I just went tap and breathe back to module 1. So thank you very much, everybody. Is there anyone that would like to share anything else before we go on? Just so that you know, a few people are not turning up this evening. As you know, Linda and Rebecca have been removed from the group because they were not booked in for module 4. And Lani was not able to attend tonight, and neither was Rochelle. Rochelle's got some family stuff. And the same with Kim. She's got her mum's gone in for urgent surgery and not able to join us for the weekend. Rochelle may not be able to join us for the weekend either. That sometimes happens with module 4. There's that forgiveness type thing. Do I go? And guilt. Do I be with the family? Do I stay on the course? What do I do? So that's where I don't react. I just go, yep, module 4. So thank you very much, ladies, for joining us. Next week, when we do our last webinar, it's just more of a connection than anything, because you will have done module 4 and these, and so it will be more just any questions, clarification, and just something to think about as you end this journey to go into another new journey, which you're going to just keep blossoming. So let's start the webinar from last week. And last week I ended it on sales is about moving the hearts and minds of people. Now that is my business mission statement for the business. And when I had the awakening, I understood that really everything is about hearts and mind, and that we're the gatekeeper to our mind. And if nothing else, and that part I wish I'd kept in the book, that when we understand we're the gatekeeper to our mind, we understand that feelings like guilt from module 4 is not worth anything. However, in your module 4 book, which you've all got by now, you'll read part of the guilt stuff and realize that we've used it in politics so much in a way of to conform people, to control people, etc. My beautiful father-in-law has always said, I'm Catholic, therefore I'm guilty. And has he used the guilt? Oh my God, yes. Completely all the time, until my little aqua boy came along and told Poppy to shut up. And then as a teenager, the same height as Pop, Pop's very tall, and said, don't tell me what to do and you can keep your guilt to yourself. But he sort of said it in a rude way, not in a pleasant way. He's very vocal and upfront. And that concept of guilt also is, when we're aware of it, we understand that we're not responsible for others' behaviour, only for ourselves. Now, this is important when we feel guilty because the children didn't say hello to grandma, or because the kids were screaming on the tram or the train or the bus or the boat or the plane or the whatever. It's not about feeling guilty. That many times I've seen people, parents or carers of children or animals, whatever, feel guilty for what's happened. There's no need to feel guilt. It's just stop judging it for what it is. The healing process at this level, the forgiveness, is releasing resentment. And we'll go into that more on module 4. But it's also understanding with this aspect, as I was awakening, that I'm not responsible for another person's struggle. And yet I had the training as a small child that it was my fault. 1, the culture. 2, because I'd say bizarre things like seeing inside the body. I just truly believed that it was my fault that things would happen, because I would randomly say that lady's going to die or that sort of thing. Or even I was age 12 and my mum and I had gone to Alice Springs and camped at Ayers Rock and Olga's. That's what it was called then, whereas now it's called Uluru and Katajuda, and then camped all the way down. And when I say camped, it wasn't like normal camping. And when we got to the same place where Azaria, the baby, was, which we were there 2 weeks before, I could see a baby being taken and by a dingo. And I felt guilty because I thought, oh, I'm going to make this happen again. And even when I was first starting to come out and learn awareness about crystals and psychics and all that sort of thing, I remember going to a psychic development course. I don't really know what I learned, except for I remember the memory of I was doing something on this particular lady, and I was telling her what I could see, because we were supposed to say what we could see, and I did, because I could see straight in her uterus. And the facilitator came over and said, that's wrong, that's not right, that's not, you can't see in the body. And then the next thing, the lady that I was working on burst into tears, and she said, she's so right. But then I felt guilty for her upset and crying and all that. I didn't realize that I was actually supporting her, and she was having an emotional crisis and breaking through. And so sometimes in that guilt, that thing of not responsible for someone else struggling, or even when I was teaching this, my husband got retrenched in September 2017. In November, I was teaching modules 1 to 4. He was not in a good space. I was very aware of this statement. I'm not responsible for my husband's struggle. I can only be a friend. So I was very aware of, look, that's up to him, what he chooses to do, and to feel, etc. It's not my problem, but I can be there, as I said, as a friend. So just be aware of that in your life, especially at the moment. Then There's also the concept of time came up. Procrastination is the thief of time. As we go into module 4, there is no time. And that was something that I learned in my awakening. It wasn't a past life. There's no such a thing. Yes, my answer is yes, no. But there's no such a thing, because if it's in a past life and it's coming up now, it's now. We put this time-space illusion in there. Nobody else. And plus we want to blame it and go, oh, well, it's because of a past life, blah, blah. No. At this level, it's about understanding I'm a conscious co-creator. What's going on? Why have I created this? And that I can stop time. And I did. I was able to get so much done in like 5 seconds. And then I'd speed up time and I would manipulate time. And that's what I learned. Procrastination is just not taking action. The thief of time, there is no time. It's all perfect timing. All perfect timing, which took away the guilt as well. Then that allowed me to go through like another death. And by this stage, I decided to have like a funeral for myself. I'd organised 2 white doves here at the Sunshine Coast, one of the beaches. And I had some friends around. And they all had to pretend it was my funeral and say what was the best. What a wonderful life I have had. I only wished I realised it sooner. In that death, I suddenly realised live every moment. Although I had the awareness after my mum died on Christmas Day, after the awakening, I really grasped live every moment as a new beginning, right now. No other thing, nothing. So I'm just going to get you to take a breath for a moment and think of something that you haven't seen as a wonderful life and wish that you realized it sooner. What is that thing? And what if you embraced it right now? And then I remember reading something and I forgot where I was. This is not my saying, and I don't know where it comes from, and I give full credit to whoever it is. There is no such thing as failure. There are only results. Later on down the track, I heard it could have possibly been Tony Robbins or Wayne Dyer, and then there was another person, but I can't remember. But at the time, I just went, what? Why hadn't we told this as children? I started to get angry. What do you mean there's no such a thing, there's only results? Why aren't we told? The result, if I'd seen them as results, oh my gosh. Instead of people saying to me, as I had my awakening, you're an embarrassment to take camp. You've caused the family to lose money and we can't take you anywhere. There was results. They weren't actually my results. It was somebody else's. But the results of not being able to understand how to look after money when I was younger. The results of not choosing to attract a pleasant gentleman before I went out with my husband. He used to stalk me and I had to get a DVO to keep him away. The results of how people treat us. When I was nursing Jamie in hospital and feeding him by a nasogastric tube, or he might have come back from one of his other surgeries. I remember watching Oprah Winfrey and she had Dr. Phil on. And at this stage, they didn't have flashy TVs up on the ceiling or anything. They used to wheel TV in a portable TV. And I remember Dr. Phil saying, we teach people how to treat us. And then when I had the awakening again, between that and there's no such a thing as failure, there's only results, I went, oh, that makes so much sense. And I started to like have a death process. They talk about like going to the light or near-death experience. It wasn't a near-death experience for me, but it was like I was traveling through time or the illusion of time. And I started to see where I got results and I was not a failure. And I cleaned the slate so that I could rewrite the story. So all the stories that I've been told as a child, if you're dumb, you're stupid, you can't write, you can't read, we can't understand you, what are you saying? I never wanted you, you're not lovable, blah, 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 blah. And then I repeated the language to myself. It was like, clean the slate, clean the slate, clean the slate. And not a failure. All you've ever had is results. And so from that moment, I decided to teach my children. Oh, look, well, what did you get? That's okay. What else can you get? And it just seemed to make life so much better. And part of the awakening was, oh my gosh, Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egypt, medieval days, all of them were about evolution of the soul, but life skills. They were teaching us how to educate the soul and educate the mind. What happened? Why didn't we have this? Why did it stop? And then it was the wording of everything I need comes to me in the perfect time space sequence. And I started to relate to things when I'd heard them once before. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I'd go off in my merry little unconscious way. And I'd hear it again and I'd go, what? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go and practice and forget again. And I learned that with that time-space illusion, that everything will come to me, but in the perfect timing, which settled my crazy separate mind of, I knew that I was going to run a business. When I left nursing and opened up a coffee and chocolate shop in Melbourne, before they were trendy, before coffee was trendy, before Lindt chocolate was in the supermarkets, I used to sell it in my coffee shop and import it from overseas. I knew that when I left that, I was going to open up another business, something to do with food or health or outdoors or something, which is this business. But I felt like a failure because I went, I know it's within me. And then I went, I get it now. In that perfect time, be patient with myself because I needed to understand that everything I need to know will be revealed to me bit by bit. And I look back when I first started the business. I had no business skills, none whatsoever. Even when I had the coffee shop, I was 19. I was younger than my youngest son. Everything I needed to know, I needed to have the nursing, pathology, autopsy background. I needed to understand when I worked in a pathology unit for a gynecologist obstetrician in Sydney. I needed to know all of these things because they were missing pieces of the puzzle, but I didn't know they were pieces of the puzzle. So everything I needed to know is revealed to me always. And then I thought about, well, hang on a minute. How does that relate to when I was a small child? When I grew up with my dad having affair after affair after affair. He couldn't speak English, same as me. My mum had to go out and work, which in that generation and that culture was a really bad thing. And I remember sitting outside these doors while Dad finished his thing, which was having sex with other women. But I would sit outside the door and wait. And my mum would say, and what did you do today? And I'd say, oh, Daddy and I went and saw Gertrude, Henrietta, whoever it was. And I thought about that. I thought, wait a minute. Everything I need to know is revealed to me. Why did I reveal that to my mum at that time? What was going on? Because when I did, my mum approached my dad, and then Dad hit us pretty badly. Why did she need to know at that time? Why did I need to know? And I had so many questions. Why? Why? Part of it was to understand I needed to be me. But as I reflected as a child, I lost part of me because it was safer to do so. It was safer to be quiet, not say anything. And it wasn't until I became a mum I really understood always be a first-rate version of yourself rather than a second-rate version of someone else. But in the awakening, it shone even further. And so as I looked at all my past, as I said, in that crazy like time zone paradigm, I went, oh my gosh, I haven't been me. I've tried to be what I thought mum and dad wanted me to be. I tried to be what I thought a nurse was supposed to be. I tried to fit into my in-laws, the Sheehan way, you know, barrack for North Melbourne, live in the right class. But I got great pain in my chest. When I've always suppressed the medical intuition. I have to do this. I have to, the pain that causes me, the loss. So I understood I needed to go of the struggle. And then I was allowed to play. I was allowed to learn through joy. In fact, I give myself permission to enjoy the things that I love. And to let go of the struggle meant let go of the struggle in my mind. To re-educate myself in the mind that everything can come from fun if I want it to be. So the boys and I started to do everything fun. We walked through the bush, we rode through the bush, we'd have picnics in the bush. My husband was working FIFO, but it wasn't called FIFO back then. He was in the army and be away and come back and away and come back. And we just did everything as play, everything. Because I wasn't prepared to ever let my fears block my ability to be me again. In fact, I wouldn't allow my fears to block my ability to change. Because as the fear came up, I went, stop. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm not going to be suppressed for who I am. I also learned to show my emotions. Emotions that I showed when I was little was fear, and it was hiding. You didn't say anything, didn't speak up. I remember my mum was really sick in the bed, and Dad had come home screaming and yelling. I was 15. Why weren't the dishes done? Why wasn't the house cleaned? Why? She was dying, but she didn't tell him. She didn't tell me, but I could see. And I didn't like the fear. I didn't like hiding, and I screamed. I screamed, leave Mum alone. And Mum dragged herself out of bed and said, run. And I chose never to ever let my fears block my ability to change so that my children could be able to shine, to share, and to share their emotions as well. And it takes courage to show those emotions. It takes a lot of courage to show emotions. We're so frightened of them, yet they're like our GPS. And courage to show the emotions of joy, because sometimes we might be doing well and somebody else isn't, and we feel guilty or bad. Yet you're the example of what's possible. It takes courage to show your emotions and say, hey, I'm not happy. I'm frightened. I watched my mother-in-law for 35 years push down all her fear, where she created disease after disease after disease. And I decided, no, that's not what I'm going to do. In fact, in a month's time, it'll be 12 months since my mother-in-law died. And she never, ever had the courage to show her emotions. And they became one disease after another. And yet she was petrified. She lived in fear and she died in fear. I'm not doing that. It takes courage to show your emotions because the emotions, energy in motion, adjust your GPS saying, hey, here's your story, tap and breathe, tears come out, no problems. And as an example today, I had my last osteopath session. For me, when I go and get sessions done, treatments, whatever, I tend to do it big binge and then nothing for 12 months, just the way I am. So for 3 weeks, I've had osteo session. And my gentleman, I call him Dr. Matt, he knows I'll see him in 12 months. I lay on the bed today. And as he said, what's been happening? I said, oh, it's moving down and now it's just in the foot. Placed his hands there. He said, yep, there's something there. Placed his hands underneath on my sacrum bone and just in the lumbar area as I lay flat. Tears rolled down my eyes. I just allowed the shift to occur. He knew what was happening as he was processing for me. He just gave me a tissue, didn't say anything, and I just let the tears just roll and pool in my ears. And when he finished, he said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good, thanks now. Sometimes when we show our emotions, we actually show our strength. Look at children. They show their emotions. They're sore, they're sad, they're scared. They'll tell you. There's teenagers, they'll show you. They'll yell, they'll scream. They'll say all sorts of things. I hate you. You're a so-and-so and so-and-so. They're swear words. This was probably the most powerful thing ever. This was the awakening to clean my slate and rewrite my story. And that's exactly what I did. The memories are still there, but no emotion attached to those memories. No fear-based, only love. And each moment in life, I know I can clean the slate, just like a whiteboard. Wipe it off, rewrite the story, and it can be instant healing. Take a big breath now. Breathe all the way out. Take another big breath and breathe all the way out. To inspire is to breathe. To inspire is to have life. And those cards that you were gifted for Module 3 is to breathe and to have life for yourself again, like a rebirth. And a lot of people after this Module 1 say, I don't know what you did or what happened, but I feel different. And they'll say it about one session with you as well as a practitioner. They can't put their finger on it. But what you've done is you've pushed the button to open the door so that they can clean their slate too. And as you enter into Module 4, it's about the final clean slate, where you understand the high vibrational aspects, telepathic, teleporting, time manipulation. Knowing that the awakening has finished to a certain point, and then you'll keep awakening every day and every moment, getting closer and closer to understanding that you're the gatekeeper of the mind, and that it is about the heart's desires. So I'll get you to take another big breath and breathe all the way out. And that ends the VIP series. That ends the other part of the book that I deleted because I didn't think people would understand or be ready. So for me, I say thank you for taking this journey with me. What was happening at the time? I had no idea. Logical nurse, loved the spiritual, metaphysical, and yet what the fudge. Now, totally understand it, totally love it, totally wouldn't be without it. When I say things like time to shine your brilliance, brilliance and potentiality, the same thing. To shine it is to say, I am love, I am lovable, I am loving, and this is me. To me, gold, sparkly ball. So as we wrap it up, if there's any questions or insights that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. You just want to unmute yourself, you're more than welcome.
Not for me tonight. Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, darling.
It's Bonnie here, Jean. I don't have any questions tonight either.
Beautiful, beautiful ladies. Ladies, we will get together on Saturday for 9 o'clock. Make sure you've got your munchie crunchies, your drinks, your headphones, pen and paper, your Module 4 book. We will be starting with the meditation. And so make sure you've got your blankets. If you've got a Millennium Star, please use it and bring it for whether it's the chart or the actual star. That would be fantastic. I have got all of your grid images, thank you very much, which will be placed around the grid tomorrow. That will be made tomorrow, ready for the weekend. Time-wise, I'm not sure what time we will finish. Just depends how all of you are going. Sometimes Module 4 can be very emotional in the processes, and we'll tee up the partners for the weekend on Saturday morning. Remember that you are always love and that you are always pure potentiality waiting to be in manifest, meaning that you can be, do, and have. And thank you for taking this journey with me for the VIP. I will end this recording and